Creation. With 3R, Rudo can create brand new vital instruments out of junk. At first, people thought he could just turn anything into a Jinki, but that's not it. What 3R really does is squeeze out every bit of value from an object, even trash, and bring out its hidden thoughts. You see, when Rudo touches a broken or discarded item, he can pull out its full potential and turn it into a temporary vital instrument. Normally, he can create up to 3 in a day, but he can also pour all his strength into just one, boosting it 2 or even 3 times stronger. One example is the nail cannon, but more on that later. Now this power takes insane amounts of thought. However, because 3R was created by Canis Surbrick as part of the Watchman series, it has endless thought and powerful anima packed inside. That's why Rudo can pull this off. The problem is that overusing the Watchman Gloves wrecks Rudo's body. Since he doesn't yet have the strength to handle their full power, he ends up with nosebleeds and total exhaustion. And once the item he transformed runs out of value, it just crumbles to dust. Rudo first used 3R on the chains that bound him. After being tossed into the pit, Engine saved him from the eyeless trash beasts in no man's land, and left him at a human settlement. But instead of helping, the people there chained him even tighter and planned to sell him as a high-priced spherite. When Rudo finally snapped, his gloves lit up, and the chains holding him turned pitch black. A spiked collar formed around his hands, and suddenly, he could control the chains like his own limbs. With these 3R chains, he wiped out the traffickers. Even if their power was only B rank at best, that was plenty. The chain smashed boulders, split the ground, and crushed anyone trying to drag him into the graveyard. Even with no real training, Rudo quickly picked up the basics of fighting with chains. His control comes from his own thoughts and what he knows about the object he's using. If he doesn't understand how something works, he can't wield it as a vital instrument properly. But this was just the beginning. From here, Rudo would keep using this god-tier ability to create all kinds of vital instruments, and we'll break those down one by one. Object transmutation. With the power of creation, 3R can take trash and reshape it into a completely new material. Using this ability, Rudo can change what something is made out of, or even how it works, giving it new powers or special abilities. To be clear, this ability is still part of creation, but more than just simply turning an object into a vital instrument. It's alteration plus creation at the same time. For example, when the traffickers successfully got rid of Rudo's weaponized chains, Rudo just grabbed a random tire from the ground and turned it into a spiked tire. The thing hit just as hard as the chains, but worked better at close range. Rudo smashed it on the trafficker's head and instantly knocked him out. Another time, Rudo took Griss's cheap little amulet and turned it into a brand new vital instrument. What used to be a small lucky charm became a giant floating eye with sharp lashes and huge shadowy limbs that looked like arms or wings. Zonka even said it looked like a floating giant squid. Because Griss had prayed to that amulet for everyone's safe return, Rudo pictured it as a tool for protection. And that's exactly what it became. A vital instrument that senses danger and redirects any attack away from Rudo. And Rudo doesn't stop there. He's used object transmutation on a dirty plunger, a keyboard, even a broken fence. The plunger is the best example of pure mental damage. It can actually break an enemy's will to fight. In his first battle with Zonka, Rudo swung it around without even knowing it was a toilet plunger. Zonka was dominating the fight, but the second he realized Rudo was smacking him with dirty bathroom gear, he started running for his life. The thing is, that plunger never got the full object transmutation boost that gives items unique abilities. Even though it became a vital instrument through the power of creation, it didn't have any special powers. There are 3 main reasons. First, Rudo didn't fully understand his power yet. Second, even when 3R maxed out the plunger's worth, it was still kind of weak. And maybe the biggest reason is that Rudo didn't even know it was a plunger. Because he didn't realize what it really was, he couldn't imagine a special ability for it. Without a clear image in his mind, the plunger stayed plain. Basically, he was incapable of manifesting his thoughts and imagining a power to give this object. That's why when he turned a broken fence into a weapon to save Folo, he could still use creation. But without fully understanding the ability, the weapon didn't hold its proper form. Aside from Griss's amulet, one of the best examples of full object transmutation is the 3R keyboard. This thing lets Rudo wipe out trash beasts just by typing a word and hitting enter. In the battle against the scorpion trash beasts in Penta, Rudo typed out a curse, pressed enter, and killed the monster with nothing more than a middle finger. Interestingly, there are times when the objects Rudo makes doesn't turn into dust. The set square, the teapot, and even the 3R doll didn't crumble after he stopped using them. Normally, the 3R creations break apart once their remaining value or worth is completely used up. That happens because the object no longer has regrets left inside it. But that's not the case here. These items haven't been used for something big yet. Since they never got used in a real battle, their value is maxed out but not exhausted. The moment Rudo eases up, or once these vital instruments fulfill their role, that's when they finally crumble into nothing. To get the most out of an object transmutation when making a vital instrument, Rudo needs two things. First, he has to know the trash or object he's turning into a weapon. Second, he needs the creativity to imagine what powers or abilities the new weapon should have. If you want to see every vital instrument Rudo has made, check out our video on his God tier 3R weapons. And hey, if you're enjoying this one, show some love by hitting that like and subscribe buttons. Stick around too, because by the end, we'll get into the most broken ability 3R has revealed yet. Alright, let's go. Improved quality. You see, in Gachiakuta, vital instruments actually have qualities. The more someone treats an object with care, the more experienced and powerful it becomes as a vital instrument. That's what's called improved quality. A perfect example is the succession-type vital instruments. The most famous one right now is the pin, first owned by Mikaki Iko, and now passed down to Rinlin. Because it's been handed down through generations, the thought stored inside has grown massive. Of course, normal vital instruments can have improved quality too. For example, something someone has treasured since childhood can build up power. But 3R is different. As part of the Watchman series, which holds endless thought and powerful Anima energy, its strength is already far beyond normal, high-quality vital instruments. The problem is, its quality is so insanely high that even Engine thinks it's off the charts. That's probably why Rudo can't keep up with it physically. After using creation too many times in a row, he gets nosebleeds. Push it too far, and he might even collapse. Basically, the higher the object's quality, the stronger it becomes. But one thing to keep in mind is that quality alone isn't enough to make a giver strong in battle. Power also depends on the user's experience and ideology. According to what Zonka noticed, even though Rudo has been taking care of 3R since he was a kid, making it a high-quality vital instrument, it's still strange that it drains him hard enough to cause nosebleeds and even fainting. Ultimately, Rudo learns that creation is not just about turning trash or discarded junk into vital instruments. He can actually turn any object that was once valuable, anything that's been cared for and loved, into a vital instrument. Basically, if it already has thought dwelling inside it, 3R can draw that out and maximize its worth. The more love it's been given, the higher the quality, the stronger the weapon, and the more power it unleashes. The best example of this is during the Doll Festival fight with Mayamo. At first, Rudo hadn't turned anything into a weapon yet. He could have grabbed random debris and made weapons to smash the other people's vital instruments, but he chose not to. Instead, he used the costume August made for him for the festival and turned that into a vital instrument. The costume pieces weren't trash or broken. They were old but carefully kept. Because August had treasured them for so long, they became even higher quality once Rudo transformed them into a vital instrument. The jacket was stitched together with scraps from the first fabric August ever cut in his life. He couldn't bring himself to toss them, so he kept them for over 10 years. The hood came from an extinct animal August used when he was 13. A neighborhood bully messed it up, broke the lower jaw, and left it incomplete forever. The boots taught August about weight reduction after he tried attaching studs by melting down metal in the past. There's also the first underwear he had a little embarrassing accident in as a kid. But we're definitely not going to talk about that. August made this costume so Rudo could use 3R anytime. All those items meant the world to him, but he still wanted Rudo to wear them. He knew Rudo could find worth in anything, so he poured his treasures into that outfit. In turn, Rudo used the boot's weight reduction ability to boost his speed, which let him rip the chokers off the Adoroi brothers and free them from Mayamo's control. Insanity effect. Since 3R is part of the legendary Watchman series, it has rules that stop just anyone from using it without problems. These pieces are ancient and said to have existed since the time trash beasts first appeared. They hold unlimited thought and energy, so much so that no normal person can wear them. If an ordinary person who's fulfilled in life puts one on, the thoughts inside will flood them with anima and drive them insane. It basically eats away at your mind little by little. The only people who can wear a Watchman piece without issues are those who've lost a part of themselves, something important that makes them human. That's why the current users are people like Rudo, Zodil, Amo, Gauntus, and even that Angel who stole the Watchman book from Regto. Like Gauntus' father said, the Watchman series won't be kind to everyone. To those who are fulfilled, it becomes poison. To those who are empty, it gives peace. And to its master, it offers a choice. We see this when Follow wears 3R to help Rudo trick the information broker Kuro. During their game of tag, Rudo finally caught Kuro, only for Kuro to find out it was Follow wearing the gloves. Follow said it felt like his mind was getting eaten away. The moment Rudo pulled 3R off him, he snapped back to normal right away. And it's not just 3R. This insanity effect applies to all Watchman pieces. For example, the trafficker who once owned the Watchman boots, the same one who bought ammo from her mom, ended up going crazy because of them. Jinki succession. This is the 3R's ability to be passed down to anyone, even if they're not part of the Cerebrick family. And in the story so far, vital instruments with this trait are super rare. Outside the Watchman series, there are 3 main types of vital instruments. If someone wants the best use out of their item, it becomes an attacker type, giving it strong combat powers. If someone wants to perceive their object and doesn't want to damage it, that makes it a defender type, which can't be used offensively and instead gains non-combat abilities. Then there's the rarest kind, the succession types. Succession happens when an object is passed down through generations. The thoughts of each giver stack up inside, making the object even stronger. People who inherit a succession type are called natural givers because they can use their instrument's power instantly. Unlike normal givers or aspiring ones, they don't need to slowly nurture the item first. Like I mentioned earlier, the best example is Pin, passed down through generations of spellcasters in Canvas Town. Pin is a succession type Jinki. Its power is creating charms, which are magical seals formed by ink, words, intent, and thought. Basically, it's like casting spells through drawings, graffiti, or tattoos. If the user draws something while thinking, the first attack on this wall does nothing, then that's exactly what happens. Once someone inherits Pin, they dedicate themselves to becoming a charm caster. In Pin's case, that's what Jinki succession is all about. A person who's a giver by nature can become one right away just by receiving a Jinki, though it also depends on how high quality the Jinki is. As one of the legendary Watchman pieces, Regto simply handed 3R to Rudo. However, the power called Jinki succession works for all Watchman pieces. For example, the angel lent the Watchman boots to Amo. Gauntus's Watchman necklace was passed down from his father, who he got from a friend in the Cerebrick family. When he gave it to Gauntus, he warned him to never hand it to anyone outside the Cerebrick bloodline. And it's not always about inheritance either. With the Watchman series, you can also just straight up steal them. That's how the angel took the Watchman book from Regto, and Zodil himself is trying to steal every Watchman piece for his own. Pain suppression. As you know, ever since he was a kid, Rudo's arms have been scarred and in constant pain. He says his parents gave him those scars, but we still don't know how. The strange thing is, when he wears 3R, the pain actually goes away. That might even be the reason Regto gave him the Watchman gloves in the first place, to ease that pain. But if Rudo takes them off, even for a second, the unimaginable pain instantly comes back. This still happens today because Rudo has to clean his hands once in a while. When he disguised himself as Follow during the game of tag with Kuro, the pain came back fast, since Follow had to wear the Watchman gloves at the time. Now, what I'm about to say is just my own analysis and research, so take it with a grain of salt. Speculatively, the Anima power seems to be connected either to the Watchman gloves themselves or directly to Rudo himself as part of the Cerebrick family. If the gloves have the ability to ease his pain, then that means the wounds on his arms are way more unusual than they look. This leads to the theory that Rudo's hands might actually be overflowing with Anima energy. That could also explain why he has that unique and mysterious ability to transfer his own Anima to others. But more on that in a minute. In short, Rudo's arms might hurt because his Anima levels are just too high, and only the Watchman gloves keep them under control. Interestingly, the Watchman necklace does something similar for Gauntus. It eases the pain of his heart disease, at least enough that as a child, the necklace was the only thing that gave him comfort. It doesn't fully take the pain away, but holding it helps distract him from the emptiness of not being able to see the world. Dual wielding. At first, Rudo could only use one vital instrument at a time, but with this skill, he finally learned how to use 2 at once. It first happened during his solo mission with Tamsi, Follow, Gris, and Tome. That's when Rudo managed to dual wield and pull off a combo that wiped out the dust trash beasts. Since Rudo had gotten a better grip on his power at this point, he used 3R on a net to trap the millions of dust balls and wipe them out. Perfect way to lure a bunch of dust beasts inside and crush them all at once. Rudo charged in and carved open a path. Then, when the enemy ranks broke, Tamsi stepped in to finish off the leftovers. Even though Tamsi was holding back, Rudo already had reached a level where he could generate power equal to Tamsi Tokushin. But even that wasn't enough to defeat the dust pigs sent out by the main body of the beasts. so Rudo stepped it up. On top of the net, he turned a blow dryer into a weapon. The wind power blasted the dust beasts away, while the net scooped up the smaller ones and finished them off. But when they went up against the main body, a whole abandoned house, the blow dryer got blown to pieces. Despite that, Rudo had already dual-wielded these weapons to fight off a new kind of humanoid pig dust beast. After using 2 of 3R's creations, Rudo only had one use left, but this time, he couldn't turn anything into a weapon. Instead, he awakened a whole new ability of 3R. Anima Transfer. Remember, Anima is the energy born when thoughts build up on the ground. Here's where Rudo gets truly mysterious. With 3R, he has the power to act as a catalyst and trigger someone's awakening as a giver by transferring his own anima to them. But before we get to that, here's a quick spoiler warning. If you're not caught up with the manga and don't want your fun ruined, skip this amount of seconds ahead to the next section. Everyone else, let's get into it. Anima Transfer first shows up during the fight with the second dust pig. Follow finds the main body of the dust trash beast and gets fired up, thinking he can finally help Rudo and Tamsi. But Rudo tells him to stay back. Long story short, things heat up. Because of his pent-up frustrations and insecurities, Follow lashes out at Rudo while the trash beast transforms into its full battle form. In desperation, Follow tries to sacrifice himself, handing his hammer to Rudo so that at least he can be useful one last time. However, Rudo refuses to let that be his end. Instinctively, he uses 3R on Follow. For the first time ever, 3R was used on a person. Follow awakened as a giver, and his hammer finally turned into a vital instrument, which he named Alan. With Alan, the two of them were able to clean up the trash beast. If you're curious how Alan smashed that trash beast and what all its broken abilities are, we covered it in our video on every god tier vital instrument in Gachiakuta. Click here to check it out. To be clear, Rudo didn't turn Follow or the hammer into a weapon. And no, Follow isn't about to crumble into dust. What actually happened is that Rudo sent his own anima into someone else. Because Follow already had the makings of a giver, that surge of Rudo's anima sparked his awakening. At the same moment, the hammer itself awakened as a vital instrument. The thing is, when Follow awakened thanks to Rudo acting as his catalyst, Simiyu noticed something strange. She could literally see Rudo's own anima flowing inside Follow's anima stream. At that point, Rudo had one last chance to weaponize an object, but instead of creating a weapon, he accidentally used it to trigger Follow's awakening. Normally, it works the other way around. Humans give anima to objects, and that energy awakens them into vital instruments. But if someone already has the foundation to become a giver, receiving Rudo's anima can help push them straight into awakening. Strangely, this ability let Follow use his vital instrument without even taking his gloves off. This means he has no physical contact with the object at all. When Arca saw this, he gave Rudo a really strange look, as if he knew there was something much deeper going on. Interestingly, 3R's power to send anima to others is something no other character can do, at least for now. And that's just one of the mysterious abilities of the Watchman Gloves. That said, if you want to become a giver, you have to face yourself and the object you treasure. Because those objects see your weakness, they won't awaken unless you overcome that barrier inside. Skipping this step, even if you receive Rudo's anima, won't make the awakening work perfectly. Concentration. This ability lets Rudo take a vital instrument he just made with creation or object transmutation and push it even further, basically powering it up into a stronger, upgraded form. When the cleaners were captured by the raiders and trapped inside a giant trash beast Zodil had made to reach the border, Rudo had no choice but to pull out something new. Using 3R on a nail gun, he created the first vital instrument with 2 forms. In its initial form, the nail gun fired rapid nail bullets. But while it has great firepower, it's still no match against Bundus' own vital instrument, Hands, which deflected every shot and protected the beast's core. But when Rudo unleashed concentration, the nail gun powered up into its second form, temporary name, Nail Cannon. The weapon grew massive, turning into a mega cannon with S-grade firepower. Even its bullets became larger and more powerful. One charged shot was enough to make Bundus struggle to block. The second shot completely destroyed Bundus' hands, even causing a small explosion when it hit the wall. Rudo could have gone for a final shot straight at the core, but seeing Bundus' vital instrument break down, and realizing how much it meant to him, made Rudo ease up. That hesitation caused the nail cannon to disintegrate. Eventually, he learned that Bundus can actually repair his vital instrument. Normally, Rudo splits 3R's uses into separate creations, which is why he can wield up to 3 vital instruments before hitting exhaustion. But here, he concentrated all his remaining power into one weapon. It's a risky gamble that could have left him collapsed on the spot. Luckily, even after the nail cannon faded away, Rudo managed to stay standing. At its core, concentration is Rudo focusing all his thoughts and anima into an existing vital instrument, changing its form, boosting its abilities, and sometimes unlocking brand new powers. And those are all the abilities of 3R so far. Which one do you think is the most broken? And if you had one of these powers, which would you choose? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to dig deeper into Gachiakuta's craziest secrets, this next video is where you go.